Hello everyone, George Packard, Family Lawn and Landscape, and today I want to give you an interesting perspective in regards to, so you think your boss makes all the money. I want to give you my perspective from a boss's point of view. A lot of you guys out there are owners of companies and you'll appreciate what I'm about to say, and there's a lot of you out there who work for someone else and you're going to get an eye-opening experience when you hear what I have to say. So the reason I bring this up is I've heard this time and time again, that people say that they're out there busting their ass and the boss doesn't do anything, and he's just he makes all the money. I got tired of hearing it. Last week I heard it again. I'm tired of it, so here's what it is, guys. I'm going to break it down, and I guarantee you I'm going to forget some of the points, but I'm going to try and get everything that comes to mind, everything I can think of, all right? And I'm sure the rest of you will let me know what I forgot, because you're good for that. So here's the way it is. First and foremost, let's take a quick look at this. Let's take a quick look at the boss. Whose idea was it to start the business to begin with? Was it your idea? Nope, probably not. It was probably the boss's idea. It was this guy's idea to start the business, right? Okay, so it was my idea. Now, you can have an idea, but an idea is just a dream unless you act on it. So therefore, if you act on it, it becomes reality. So for me to act on starting my business, it took some knowledge. Where did I get this knowledge? I had to go obtain it somewhere, right? I had to go get it. It didn't just come to me in my sleep. So I had to take the time, go learn my trade, work for other people for a little bit, learn what I was doing, read everything I could read, educated myself to get to the point where I could actually start my own company. Okay? That took a lot, believe it or not. You don't just do that like that. Those who try to do it like that, vanish. They're gone the next day. They're that year, they're done. Because they didn't think about all these things that go into the business. So, just saying. Ties with the community. So when you go to get your business going, you got to make a lot of friendships and you got to create some ties with the community. And in order to make that happen, you got to get out and you got to meet people and you got to talk to people. Who does that? Do the employees do that? No. Employees don't do that. This guy does that. Okay? This guy gets my foot in the door with a lot of companies so that we have a lot of work. Not you, but me. Okay. Then, let's take a look at this. We take 100% of the risks that are involved in business today. All right? When you punch in and you punch out, you don't have a worry in the world. All you need to know is that you packed your bologna sandwich for tomorrow. You don't have to worry about all the things that there are to worry about out there. You don't have to worry about all the risks that are involved. And there are plenty of them. There are millions of risks involved. Are we going to make it? Are we going to break it? Are we going to go bankrupt? What's going to happen? We're going to lose the house. We're going to lose our vehicles. We don't have the money to pay the employees. The list goes on and on and on and on. So, we take 100% of the risk. You go home, you sleep like a baby. So, that being said, you take the weekends off. Okay, another thing. You guys take the weekends off, all right? So, when you get your weekends off, you get to go do whatever you want to do and have fun. Not the business owners, because the business owners have to continue doing estimates and looking after the equipment and the vehicles and making sure everything's fueled up and making sure the bills are paid and all those kind of things. There's tons of bookwork that goes along with this thing too that you guys never even see. So if I manage to steal a couple hours on a Sunday evening, that's a big deal. Okay? That's a big deal. And that's that way a lot of the time, especially during our busy part of the year. Keep that in mind. So while you guys are taking your weekends off and going to do things with your family, we're not. We're working on the business, okay? And then you're going to say to yourself, well, it is your business and you should be doing that. You're absolutely right. But get the point of this whole video. I'm trying to show you guys that there is a difference. There's a huge difference in what I do and what you do, and I want you guys all the way around to have a good understanding. You business owners are going to understand me. Those who aren't business owners, hopefully you'll understand it by the end of this video. So let's continue. All right. What about the evenings when you guys come home after work, okay? What's your biggest worry? Is there a cold beer in the fridge? Okay, that's your biggest worry? Not mine. I got to make sure everything's fueled up and loaded up for tomorrow. I got to make sure I return all the phone calls that came in during that day that I didn't get to. I got to go out and do estimates. I got to work till dark, then come back home, then write up a bunch of stuff. By midnight, if I'm lucky, I choke a sandwich down my throat or whatever the wife's made for supper, and I go to bed. That's what I do, okay? Yeah, my business, that's what I do. And all I'm doing is trying to share with you why I'm doing it. It is my business, and I have to do it. But I want you guys to realize when you go home in the evening, your night's done. All you got to do is go home and listen to your wife nag about you didn't fix this and that needs to be done and your lawn needs to be cut and whatever, okay? I got all those same headaches too, on top of all the things I just mentioned to you. All right? So, you should see my place. The landscaping there is horrible. I'm just like the worst in the neighborhood, and it's basically because it's like the shoemaker's son goes barefoot. Have you ever heard that saying? There's a reason for that saying. That means he never has the time to make shoes for his own kid. So that's pretty much the landscaping of my place. So fixing things at night, things that are broke during the day, things that the guys break in the trucks. We're out there, we're getting those things fixed so they can get back on the road tomorrow. Those on top of everything else we had to do. There's a lot of stuff we're doing behind the scenes, so I'm really trying to get you guys to understand it. So, all right, let's go with, let's touch a little bit on the financials. Let's go into that for a little bit. So let's look at licensing money, okay? You have to obtain a license. There's things you have to do for those licenses. You have to go through the tests and the qualifications and things of that nature to get those licenses. You guys as techs don't have to do that stuff most of the time. Most of the time, you just show up for work, cut grass, and go home. You know, you have no complaints and no worries, okay? We have that. Let's talk about the licensing dollars, okay? Let's talk about the money we got to spend on advertising all the time to keep the phone ringing, to keep the calls coming in. Websites, absolute number one for us. You know, I've said that time and time again. And for those of you who have not watched my video on Marketing 101, I suggest you go back and watch that video. You're going to learn a great deal from that. So, advertising is absolutely important. The door hangers, the street mailers, the every door direct mails, and the internet with us. Pay-per-click advertising we also do. So there's a lot of things that we do as a company that are paid for by me, by the business owner, that you guys don't see. You don't see that expense that I have on all those items. You don't see the expense I have on getting all those items out. I've got to pay the post office to get those flyers out. I've got to pay people to take the door hangers out and put them out. Nobody's doing it for free. I've got to eat all that expense, okay? So keep that in mind. People, time, answering the phones. All right, we do the advertising, the phone rings, I got to pay somebody to answer those phones, okay? So there's more of the cost that goes in there for the office girls, okay? You got to pay for them. You got to pay their wages and the workman's comp and all the things that go along with that, which I'll touch on in a little bit here. But you have that additional expense. The vehicles, the cost of the phones themselves, for crying out loud. You got to buy all these phones for the guys in the trucks. Who do you think's paying that monthly bill for those phones? It sure as hell isn't you. Okay? So it's not the guy that just comes to work every day. It's the business owner. It's this guy that's handling the bill for all those things. Okay? And then when you guys break the phones, it's this guy that's got to pay for them. Okay? So, just another expense that you guys probably aren't even thinking of, and I want to bring it to your attention, and that's the only reason for this video. So I'm not going to keep going over that. I'm just going to keep bringing it up. So, anyway, the cost of the vehicles, okay? I'm the guy that's got to go out and spend thousands of dollars on these vehicles. I'm the guy that has to do the maintenance on these vehicles all the time. I'm the guy that has to do the oil changes on them and put new tires on them all the time. What about the cost of insurance? Does anybody figure in the cost of insurance that I have to put on these vehicles? Because this guy is the guy that has to do that. Not you, this guy. Just another expense. Business insurance. You think that's free? That's not free. It's expensive as hell. So, but you got to have it. If you're going to be in business, you got to have those things. So, there's that. There's, who does the estimates, by the way? Who do you think does that? Is that you when you go home at night? When you go home and crack your cold beer and bitch because your supper isn't ready? No, it's not you. It's this guy. Because I got to go out and do those estimates at night. Because I got to keep the wheels spinning. I have to keep everything greased. I have to keep food on your table. How about having a little bit of appreciation, you guys, for what the bosses do out there for you? Okay? They're the ones that are hustling all the time, so they can keep food coming in. They can keep the money coming in so that there is money to pay you guys. All right? Think about that for a minute. Let that one sink in. Let's see. Who puts the gas in the trucks every day? Do you think that's free? That's not free. Everybody looks at what you make on these accounts and they think that you're making a fortune, you know, because of what you charge them every time. Man, think about all the things I'm telling you. Think about this. Who puts the gas in them trucks every day? This guy. Who buys the insurance for those trucks? This guy. All right? So, keep that in mind. Now, let's see. Maintenance on all the vehicles. Who does the maintenance? I'll tell you. We have guys that do the maintenance at our shop, and I'm a big part of that. I'm a big part of the maintenance on our stuff. And our managers have a big role in the maintenance end of things to keep things going. But that's not free. Those are expenses this guy's got to pay for. Okay? So those aren't things you even have to worry about. Unless your boss makes you do maintenance on things, but hey, at that point, he's paying you to do it because I'm sure you're not doing it on your free time. So keep that in mind too. All right, let's see, the expenses of the mowers. Let's go into that. Let's go into mowers, skid steers, backhoes, dump trucks. Let's go into that, and then everything I mentioned above that goes along with them. Let's talk about all that, the price, first off, for all that equipment. And then if you got to get a loan at a bank for any of that equipment, you got to pay the interest on that stuff, okay? And you pay it for years. Then there's the maintenance on all of it, okay? It adds up. It's a fortune. It's an absolute fortune. So I want you guys to think about that. What about, let's just stick with mowing here for a little bit. Let's go with the blades and the belts and the tires on the mowers. You think that stuff just pops out of the sky? No, I have to continue to pay for that stuff, okay? So, another expense that most people don't think about. Let's talk about the edgers and the trimmers and the blowers. Let's talk about that. Who pays for those things? You know, when you take them and you smash them and you throw them in the back of the truck, or they fall off the trucks, supposedly fall off the trucks, and they disappear from you, they get stolen from you. All that stuff is, the bottom line is, it comes from me. It absolutely comes from this guy. I'm the guy that keeps paying for all that equipment all the time, okay? When that stuff needs to be worked on all the time, when it's things we can't do. If I can't fix it, our guys can't fix it in the shop, it has to go into a mechanic. Who pays the bills for him? This guy. That's who pays him, all right? So, all right, what about the grinders, the wheels for the grinders, your string for your trimmers? All that's expenses no one thinks about. Nobody thinks about that stuff, but I got to keep buying it constantly, okay? What about your uniforms? Where do you think them come from? The bosses are buying those things. You're not buying those. That comes out of their pocket as well, all right? So, now let's go on to something else. What about all the fuel for the trucks? Who's covering that every day? I'm covering that every day. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but it pisses me off, so I want to go back into it twice. So there, that's twice. All right, and then the repair bills we covered. We talked about the labor. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the cost of labor. I'm paying you, okay? You don't pay me jack shit. I pay you every day to come to work for me, okay? So you have a solid paycheck every single week. You never have to worry about that stuff. I take the worry away from your job. The only thing you got to do is come to work and do a good job. That's all you have to do for me. In other words, earn your money. Me, I got to pay your wages to get you there, which is only fair. Then, now I got to turn around. I have workman's comp I got to pay on you. Unemployment I have to pay on you. I have the payroll taxes that come out of there. All of your Social Security that we have to match that comes out of there. Okay, those are all things you guys don't think of. You think if you're making $10 an hour that, oh, that's shit wages or whatever. Well, your $10 an hour, when all is said and done, probably cost me like $15 to $17 an hour to have you work for me. So keep that in mind while you guys are doing all your bitching out there. All right, who buys the materials for the jobs? Who buys that when you go to do cleanouts and mulches? You know, you got to mulch the properties, or, who buys your weed control to put on to take care of the weeds? I'll tell you who, this guy. You already know who does it. It's not you, it's this guy right here, okay? So, not to mention our labor. Let's talk about our labor on this thing. There is nobody paying me when I go on the jobs and I'm slinging brick and I'm slinging rocks and I'm shoveling dirt and raking dirt and gravel. There's nobody paying me for that stuff, okay? I earn some of my money myself, believe it or not, people. Believe it or not, the bosses actually earn some of this shit. If you added up the time that a boss actually spends out in the field working on stuff, you would be freaking amazed. You would be amazed. There's no doubt in my mind that I don't put in between 70 and 80 hours a week at my job. 70 to 80 hours a week while you're putting in your 40. So quit your bitching. Can't believe I just said that. But I did. Don't even know why, but boy, that really came out from deep down below. You know what I mean? Whatever. That was in there. I didn't even know that was in there, but it came out. All right, we got to move on. So anyway, all right, who deals with the complaints? You know who deals with the complaints? This guy. Okay, when you go out and you do shitty work, and even if sometimes if you don't do shitty work and you do good work, and customers still complain, regardless, the complaints come in, who has to deal with them? This guy has to deal with them, okay? I have to deal with them. Nobody's paying me to go deal with them complaints, but I've got to do it, okay? Unless I'm sending managers out to deal with them, which happens a lot nowadays because we've grown bigger. So I send managers out. Are my managers free? Absolutely not. Who do you think's paying their salary? This guy, okay? That's part of their job to go out and deal with it, absolutely. But it's not you that's sitting home drinking your cold beer and waiting for your wife to get done cooking supper for your ass. So think about that. All right, now, headaches. Who deals with all the headaches? You know when you're going home and watching wrestling because that's all you want to do, or you play your video games and whatnot, the headaches that come in on this business, you get home and you get a stack of mail like that you've got to deal with, emails and whatnot that have come in, complaints that have come in, people that are wanting estimates, and things that people you couldn't get to, and you've got so many headaches going on, and then you have things in your own family going on you're trying to do. It's a million headaches that come with a business, okay? Take your normal life, multiply it by 10, and that's what it's like running your own business, okay? So these are the things that happen to you. Don't get me wrong, it's still worth running your own business, and I've always been a big advocate of that. Huge, and I still am. You learn to adapt. You learn to deal with those things. My whole point of this video is to shed some light on why people think bosses own, that make all the money, okay? And it just pisses me off. So I got compelled to the point where I had to do a video about this, and that's what's happening right now. All right, who does the hiring? Do you do the hiring? No, you don't do the hiring. You don't give a shit. You could care less. You don't even worry about it. You wait till you show up in the morning, you see who's in the truck with you, okay? You don't give a shit. You could care less, okay? It's not your responsibility. But somehow, during, that limited, time between 10:30 at night and midnight, I should be able to hire somebody or set up interviews and all that stuff. That's something else that I have to continue to do. That's part on my plate as a business owner. Is anybody paying me to do that? Is anybody paying me to make 40 phone calls out there just to try to get 5 guys to actually show up? And even then, one of them's got a driver's license. Even though you asked for every one of them, said it is a must that you have a driver's license. God damn it, that's a whole nother subject right there. Boy. Anyway, but continuing on. All right, so the headaches, the hiring, the firing. Who has to fire these people? Who has all the stress of firing? You think I like to fire guys? I don't like to fire guys. I hate firing guys. But when you have to, you have to. That's not your headache. You go home, crack your beer, and wait for your wife to get your damn supper ready. That's your biggest concern in the world. God damn it. Anyway, all right, so let's look at the burden, finding enough work. Think about that for a minute. All you have to do, again, you're just coming in, you show up for work, and you go to work. It doesn't magically appear. It's up to this guy to bust his ass, to work hard, to organize the advertising, to make sure that the phones are being answered, to go out and see these people, all to make sure that the work keeps coming in so that you all have paychecks. Okay? How about a little appreciation for the boss? Think about that one for a little bit too. That he's out busting his ass to make damn sure he can get enough work in to keep everybody working, to keep food on your table so your wife can get off her ass and fix that food for you. God damn. All right, let's talk about the endless hours. I think I touched on it a little bit with you guys, and by now you should be understanding what I'm talking about with the endless hours, because it is endless. It's just nonstop. It just seems like during the busy season. Come the winter months, it slows down for a lot of us, okay? But for most companies anyway. But a lot of sleepless nights go into this, you guys. A lot of endless hours. So don't think that your boss is making all that killer money, because he isn't. He isn't. Believe me, okay? It is just, there's so many expenses that go into this business. All right, so to wrap this thing up, and I really need to do this because I could ramble for hours, feel like I already have, but what would you pay a guy that does all the things I just mentioned? What would that guy be worth to you if he was in your business? Would he be worth $10 an hour to you, or would he be worth $100 an hour to you? What do you think? Somebody who took care of the hiring, the firing, the equipment, the advertising, the employees, the turnaround, all those things, all the insurances, licenses, you name it. If you had an employee like that, he is worth gold to you, right? Gold. Guess what those employees are called? Your boss. This has been George Packard. I hope you learned something from this. Don't forget to leave me your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.